Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Mature Adult Time.
We've got a real good one for you today. We're sitting down with one of Humboldt Originals.
That's right, guys. Jeremy Kurtz from the Redwood Coast Water Company gave us a sweet exclusive interview, and we're bringing it to you now.
Check it out, fools.
Enjoy.
He slimed me!
Here we go.
Spraying for mold or pesticides or whatever. So I've always been a grow your own type of person. But with today's market, you're going in, you're able to buy stuff at the clubs. You can pretty much guarantee that there's no pesticides in there. You can guarantee that, you're getting a quality product, but at the same time, you're spending an astronomical amount of money for a very minimal amount of weed. Mm-hmm. Back when I first started growing, which I'm a third generation cultivator, black market baby. When I first started doing this, it was because I had been in a major accident, and a doctor had actually asked my mother to try having me smoke a joint. It might help with some stomach conditions I was having due to the medication they were giving me back then. And so at an early age, I realized the medicinal value. And, every now and then my mom would catch me stealing her roaches. Or, run off with a full joint or something. Where'd that little guy go this time? Well, once I started smoking, honestly, I started consuming food. Where I was struggling before. Yeah. I was gaining weight, I was growing, next thing you know, I was beating up other kids, and I was doing normal things. Yeah. Back then, we were having BB gun wars and launching our bikes over creeks and, going for it. All the things that actually the doctor had told my mom that I would never be able to do. Play football, stuff like that. We've been lied to about the values of marijuana forever. But like I said, I realized it at a very young age because of what it was doing for me. So at that point, in my mom's rolling tray, such as what you see here, I found some seeds and decided I was going to take those seeds and see if I could do something. Not even knowing what the hell I was doing, honestly. Pardon my French. But I took these seeds down to the trails where all the kids would play in Scotia, and I went behind some garages down there. And there's a big redwood stump cut down probably, 15 feet up in the air, and I planted these seeds. I don't know what the hell to even expect. And next thing you know, they took right off. I was down there every day watering, my mom, of course, not being oblivious to her son being kind of a challenging person to take care of. She followed me and literally watched me climb up into this stump with my 5-gallon bucket and watering with straight water. I had a key to one of the faucets, and so I would just fill up my 5-gallon bucket, and I'd climb up there and I'd water, and then I'd stash my bucket, and then I'd go ride my bike all day. I was good to go. Well, she caught me. She saw me doing that. Oh my God, did I get it. Because the town we lived in, there was no police. There was security guards paid for by the town. And so if you got caught raising hell in that town, you could get your parents kicked out of town, lose their jobs at the mill, everything. And so, my mom just really laid into me about it, read me the riot act, and then showed me what I was doing wrong. So, right on, Mom. And definitely gave me some pointers and helped me through the season, and just really made sure that I never talked to any one of my friends about it, which I didn't. It was probably, once she pointed out the fact that I had 3 males and only 2 females in there, she was like, you got to cut these down. In my heart, I was like, no, I just did all this work. She was like, well, you just did all this work for nothing. So we ended up cutting them down. I remember hanging them. She took them and hung them in our garage. And I was just wondering for a couple weeks.
It's coffee. Don't worry.
We got to have our Joe.
Done.
Oh, yeah.
So I was wondering what was going on with these plants for a couple weeks. I thought, she took them away from me. Mm-hmm. Well, she would roll a joint and kind of divvy it out a little bit to me. Honestly, she smoked half of what I grew. Mm-hmm. My mom's always been that way. She told me, I'm showing you the family trade. I get half of everything you reap. Mm-hmm. Not that she ever really forced that, but it was always kind of the funny little in between, back and forth between her and I. But at that point it was like, okay, I kind of understood a little bit more about what to do. So that following year we had moved out of Scotia. It wasn't me that caused the trouble that got us kicked out of town. It was my stepdad. So it wasn't me. So I went about hiking off into the hills out where we had moved, which was just back down the road here in Carlotta. And we're way out in the woods, so it was easy for me to go out and find a spot where nobody was going to find me. Well, once I had did that at the first place, because I went to one of my parents' friends and actually got some seeds from them secretively, because if my parents would have known, they would have been at their door chewing some ass too. But I set up my first real guerrilla grow. I had to just basically walk across the highway from my house, through my friend's pasture, across the river, which I would wade across this one part of the river and go right up on the hillside. Fuck, once I had the first one there and I still had all these seeds left over, well, what do? You start patch number 2. And so I actually had I think 3 patches that first year. And you guys, I couldn't believe it. You talk about the greatest accidents. Harvest time, back then, nobody had weed. It was far and few in between people that were growing weed. And so all of a sudden here I was with this weed, and I was like, well, what do I do? And so my mom and I, she went over there and helped me kind of wrap some stuff up in it was a rubber raft. We laid all these plants out in, I'm still a little kid. I'm probably 12 years old at this time. And I'm trying to pack this rubber raft with my mom, and I don't understand what the hell I really have here. But now we got a whole new garage, right? And I just packed this thing full.
The whole garage full?
Pretty much. Down to about here from the rafters. God. With an aisle through the middle. I remember I'd go in there and I'd sit down underneath them smoking weed, just looking at all my tops hanging, just like, wow. Well, my dad, being kind of the person he was with the connections he had, was able to get rid of all of that stuff. Pounds back then were going for $4,500, $47, And so here I was with 20 pounds or something right there. What the hell does a kid do,
That's right. Everything you do, it just turns into gold.
No, honestly, no.
You're like a jack of all trades. Every time we're
master of none.
Walking around the property, it's like, oh, who did this? I did that. Oh, who painted that? I did that. Who built this? Me. It's just
I'm just a country boy. We do things on our own. That's kind of how it is. When you live in the hills, you really have to be self-sufficient. You don't have all the amenities right there at the store, so we have to tear it up. What is it? I can run a trout line, a country boy can survive. The whole song, man, it's true. It's true. But, as time went on, so about the time I turned 16, I was pretty much a master of that trade. And had done pretty well. There was one year where I didn't really do too much just because I was a real punk ass lashing out against my stepdad, and I was really trying to get out of the house, get away. Well, I ended up the summer of me being 16, I pulled off, I think it was around 50 pounds. And most of it out of one crop, which was it was gnarly. And so I had friends that were helping me, pull some stuff in at the time. My mom's best friend had a 69 Mustang that she had an option on, so I gave her some cash to go get the car. Of course, I assumed the car was mine. And that was my high school rig while I was building a sick-ass 68 CJ5. I squandered that money, you guys, like crazy. I funded every party in high school. Kegs? You want a keg? Let's get 3. We're doing this. I'll bring a pound of weed too. We're smoking it all. But great times. I mean, I'm telling you, I would not change any bit of it for anything. It was nuts. I mean, we had amazing times. The school I went to was so full of rednecks, and I just couldn't handle all these, I don't know, country haters, I would call it. But and I was kind of more of a surf cat, so me and my buddy pretty much converted that whole school over because everybody realized, hey, those are the guys that are having fun. Let's go hang out with them. Where are they going? Well, they're going to the beach. Hey, and they got weed. And so next thing you know, I was the dude under the bridge selling joints for $5 a piece to everybody. But one time I took like, I think it was like 30 pounds or something up to a buddy's place and ended up frying on mushrooms. Holy wow. What a time. And I sold every freaking pound that night. Like 2 people showed up and they bought it all. And so here I was with a backpack just stuffed full of cash, frying my nuts off. Up at HSU playing foosball against all these I'm in high school. Against all these college people. And I'm skunking people because, I'm fried, man. I can see every line. I'm like, brop, brop, I'll take on 2 of you. I got people crawling underneath, as I'm skunking them. And then if you got skunked twice, then you had to run up and down these really steep staircases, pound a beer, and have your picture taken while crawling under the table. They had these rules set up, but everybody was standing around going, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm over here like, I've been having the time of my life, but I ended up meeting another girl there that night that had the same kind of car that I had, a 69 Mustang. Hers was blue, mine was green. And then she ended up being a person that was very interested in buying a lot of pounds. So I had made some pretty cool connections that night. I ended up moving out. It was my junior year. I moved out of my parents' house. My buddy and I got an apartment. He actually owns a legal farm here. In fact, his booth was here. Full Moon.
Oh, Full Moon. Yeah, I have their hat.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
him and I became partners in crime, and some of the crops that we did. I'm talking guerrilla grows, 1,000 plants here, like pickle barrels buried halfway into the ground to hold your water for the whole year, like so many of them. It was the adventures. It was amazing. I could go on for days just on 1 year's crops adventures. But now I look back, and I think to myself, I squandered all that money. You know.
Did you squander it or did you live?
I lived. I really did. You know, I'm not complaining about anything at all. I'm simply stating that there was a lot of money there that could have been appropriated in other places. But I mean, I paid for half my college. The other half was a scholarship, so I didn't have to take out any loans. I did that on my own. I had a lot of friends that kind of criticized me about the things that I was doing here when I was telling them, you know, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You're going off of what the government says about this shit. And honestly, if there's one thing that I have seen clearly in life is if you don't take advantage of where you live and the opportunities that are in front of you, then you're just not going to be doing as good as you could be doing. And so there I was, taking advantage of where I live, the opportunities that I had. And, you know, it worked out. I never put anybody in harm's way. I didn't really, well, I can't say that because I did have friends that came out and grew with me, and in turn we were in harm's way. If we would have got caught, we would have been.
Yeah,
you know?
potentially.
Yeah. And there was times when I ran. You know, I did have to elude a sheriff years ago, as I had the very first clones I had ever bought, I had ever seen. I bought 100 of them, and I had them in the back of that Jeep I was talking about. And this sheriff really had it out for me. And he flipped around on the highway and saw me, and I darted into the woods and made it through the trees in his big Bronco. I knew it wasn't going to make it through where I went, so I went across the river, stashed the damn clones. They all died. I was so bummed out I lost all that money, but I got away. So,
Yeah, but you got away.
You know, swimming upstream, lived to spawn another day. And so I did, you know, I just went and spread eggs and everywhere else, my seeds out there. I've had more crops across this county than I can shake a stick at.
Man, I don't know. I started smoking at a young age, and I think it saved not only my life, but the people's lives around me, because I have anger issues and no one's dead. You know, like, they survived.
I love it. It's very true. You know, when we did token jokes here, like I said, I've thrown a lot of parties throughout high school. Literally, they put me on independent study because I caused a walkout at our high school where only 7 people stayed. I mean, when it came to raising hell, I had the horns. And so it was, you know, a little scary. But like you said, if people recognize the value for just little things, like whether it's anger management, or like myself with a stomach issue when I first started out to now anger management, stress issues. I mean, look what it does for vets. Look what it does for cancer patients. It's like we've been lied to for so many decades now about the values of cannabis as a whole, whether it's marijuana or hemp. And now here we are. Pounds are, last year they were $500, you guys. Okay, so here I am, from $4,750 or $4,500.
It's wild.
To $500 due to taxation, due to
Availability, probably.
well, we had a green rush around here. When people realized, hey, we can make money on marijuana, we had people move here from all over Hell's Half Acre, and I'm telling you, they riddled the land with crops to where all of a sudden now you had all of this B grade, C grade marijuana on the market that people could pay less for and still get stoned. So why were they going to pay for A grade weed, you know, when they could buy? And so they whittled everybody down on price over the years. The middleman killed the industry. I'm going to say it because, you know, back in the day, we used to make sure that the people that would take our pounds and hustle our pounds, they got a note for every pound. They made $100 for every pound. If you sold 50 pounds, you just made $5,000. You know, you're making money. You're making good money. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, we want 2 bills. Or they wouldn't even tell you that. What they would do is they'd come to you and say, well, I can buy your pounds for $3,000. When realistically they were getting 35. So now they were making $500 a pound. And that greed just grew to where they were like, oh, well, we're taking all the risk when we run your weed. Fuck you. I've been growing this shit all fucking summer long, running from the cops, doing all this shit, working out the math on building my soil, my food. Man, you can suck it. Go smoke that pipe. I'm like, fuck these guys. They really bent the industry over. And then the legalities all set in. So there was really no time for people to regroup and, you know, pull their funds back in, as it was like just being pulled away from the mom and pops is really what happened. Because this whole county, 90% of the businesses have been secretly funded through, what do we call it? Silent investors, silent partners. And we had no problem with that. You know, you would always have like your ranchers that would be like, that devil's lettuce, but they're over here renting 5 acres to Joe Marijuana Man, you know, who's paying them $30,000 or $60,000 or $100,000 for that little slice of land, so that this guy can sit over here and be like, that stuff's fucking gonna kill people. You got a lighter? You know? Total hypocrites. It's been a sad change. It's scary. I've seen a lot of my friends move out of here to other states that are legalizing it so that they can go there and help bring up the education factor of cultivation. You know, and it's left this place literally just torn. It's sad. I don't know really what to think of it. Every now and then I'll have a friend hit me up, you know, hey man, my wife and I are moving to Idaho. I'm like, whoa, you can't grow weed in Idaho. And they're like, I know, and that makes it more valuable. Just like it was here before the shit storm hit. Yeah. You know?
Well, I voted against legalizing it because I didn't think it was being done in the right way. But it went through anyway.
I don't believe that the government should have anything to do with marijuana at all. I think it should be fully legalized for the people, because we've been lied to for so long about the values so that they could reap the benefits of the special interest groups paying in, such as Reynolds Plastic, Big Oil, Big Pharma.
Yeah. Pharma, you know? For sure too. Like, that's just they just want you to get, we have a health system here that they're treating the root or the branch of the problem. You know what I mean? It's like, why do you have headaches? Well, let's treat the headache instead of treating the reason why you have that headache, you know? And they just want you to be sick because they make money off of it. They're not making money off of healthy people.
Exactly. And that's why they have lobbied against us forever. That's why they've created this reefer madness. You know, just the whole shooting it down, making the credibility of it to where there is zero, making it to where there was zero tolerance. I mean, really all it, and it, you know, it pushed their incarceration system, which funded their pockets. It also separated us racially. I mean, there's so many things that they've used it against us that I don't believe that they should be able to benefit from it one bit. I think, you know, if it's taxed, it should directly go back to our schools, our infrastructure.
Into testing the stuff, like you said.
To testing the stuff. I mean, a lot of that, the testing is so expensive that if part of the tax money was to go back towards businesses that do this, we could make it to where the testing isn't as expensive for everybody, so that the mom and pops can still stay alive and make a craft style marijuana, just like beer, craft beers, you know. I mean, why not? I mean, this is an industry that's untapped. There really is so many little facets,
Little kitty.
that can, can really blossom from the death that has occurred here. It's
Well, with breakdowns come breakthroughs, and maybe we can get to a spot where that does happen. But we, as the people, have to like make sure that happens, because they're not going to do that for us.
fight the power.
Yeah.
100%. But it ain't easy. It's uphill the whole way. Friends get busted, end up in prison, end up in jail, end up losing everything,
Well, yeah, even in LA just recently, it's an illegal weed shop, but it got busted again, but this time they put everyone in handcuffs, including the customers. But it's like, it's legal, you know what I mean? But this one particular spot isn't legal. And what's shitty is what I heard, especially in Los Angeles, there's an original, when it was legalized for medicinal purposes only, there was like all these ones that popped up, like 20 something. And then they passed a thing to where there could be no more weed shops. And the weed shop owners were the ones that were behind that, because they didn't want anyone else coming in after them. But so now it's just like created this whole issue.
Mm-hmm.
To where,
greed.
Yeah, it is, and it's just really sad.
And it's places like that, and I hope people really can see through the smoke and mirrors and realize that those are the places you don't want to buy your weed from. Those places, because those are the places that are cutting everybody else's throats. They're doing it strictly for the denomination. They don't care if it's helping you one way, shape, or form. It's sad, but you have a lot of places now. I mean, we are in the age of Aquarius, which is the age of the awakening, so they say. And you really see it. People are becoming aware, whether it's medicinally, politically. I mean, we're starting to see a lot of things that are just not right. And people are standing up, and starting to join in on the fight, which is good. And really, this has happened big time in the whole prohibition end of, things for the marijuana. So it's good to see people are waking up. It's not the devil's lettuce. It's nothing like that. It's actually something that, was put here for a reason. I think something that is very almost alien, like something that is very weird about marijuana, and a lot of people don't even know this, but we share a common trait as humans
With weed?
with marijuana. Actually, mammals in general, dogs, cats, even an African gray macaw, which was having seizures, that drank our water and its seizures quit. We have a endocannabinol system in our body, which this makes cannabinoids. We have an endocannabinol system. Our CB1, CB2 receptors in our body react from THC and CBD. They bind to it. And so it just seems odd to me that, this plant has something that shares a genetic characteristic with us, and to not look at that in full is to deny ourselves a bit of truth and reality to why this stuff works so good for humans, dogs, cats. I mean, we have people that hit us up all the time, about, can my dog try marijuana? Can my dog try CBD? And then you ask them, well, what's the problem? Is it cancer? Is it, anxiety is a big one for dogs. They'll sit there and lick, scratch, chew themselves up just in anxiety. And people give them our water, and then next thing you know, they're asleep. And they're like, dude, my dog just like quit tripping, passed out, was just like sleeping, snoring. And I'm like, yes. Went over, got some food, and then it went to sleep. Like, that's when your body heals. When you have nutrients and when you sleep. So if those are the side effects of marijuana, fucking bring it on.
Yeah. I'm down. Well, this bong has been sitting here packed. Can you show us how you clear it out real quick?
Humble hit.
A humble hit.
Let go of my arm first. That's a humble hit.
Yeah. Let's see if Fina hit.
What flavor would you like? Blue dream. We got some of that
Ooh,
banana.
do the blue dream. I have to.
It's like Baskin and Robbins around here. We got
Yeah,
more than 32 flavors for sure. And I got to give a shout out to Seed Squatch for all of that, baby.
Dude, that was way more than you had in yours.
Well, I don't want to.
You embarrass me even more than I'm gonna be. Yeah, there's a Fina-sized bowl. Okay, here we go.
Nice.
My lugs don't. There we go. And a little bit left. This is for art. Alright, I think did we come what we said we were gonna do? Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for talking with us, and I'm sure we'll have you on the podcast again. You guys, check out the CBD water, buy it, spread the word, smoke weed, have fun, and live good lives. See ya.
Redwood Coast CBD water. And don't forget Power Plant. Nothing but health.
I want to say it in a porn star like kind of voice.
Ew, gross.
Okay.
Say it in any voice
Yeah,
you
please
want,
do.
I guess. Yeah.
Hi guys, please call us at 424-272-8763.
That's your porn voice?
That sounded like a librarian.
Yeah, what do you watch?
I'll work
Tranny
on
porn? Bye.
See ya.
Later, fools.
Bye.
Thanks, mate.